Hey guys, happy Monday. If you were here last week, you may have seen that we had a very special guest, Mars, Fourth Rock Nails, here to show us how to tint our boba gel using alcohol ink. So last week, Mars made some black boba gel, and she literally squished it between these two little palettes and said, Dylan, you've got to use this. I'm challenging you to use this. And I was like, bet, all right, we're going to use it next week in this episode of Monday Masters and do some really cool nail art with it. I know it looks kind of funny squished between these two little palettes, but it's perfectly good, perfectly usable, hasn't cured, hasn't gotten any stickier or crazier in the past week or so. So I'm going to break it right back out. If you do want to see how Mars created this black boba gel, you can go back 1 week and watch last week's episode of Monday Masters and see exactly how she did this. But today, we're going to jump right into using this to create a really cool 3D skull. Let me show you what I mean. All right, so I'm starting out with a nice red magnetic velvet style nail here. This is NT33 Movie Night, a nice burgundy. And then I activated the red wine velvet magnet. This is number 38 from the velvet magnet series. And I used my max magnet to make this all happen. Super strong magnet, and it makes this really nice velvet effect very quickly, super shiny. Gonna be a great base for a little skull. And this is my lovely assistant here. This is going to be my little sample skull we're going to be using to create our design against. So the first section we're going to work on is the head and the nose and eye area, kind of down to the cheekbone here. And then the second section we'll do is the jaw. And then we'll do a third little special section for the teeth. So we're going to use 3 different pieces of our boba gel today. So this is the black boba gel that Mars created in last week's episode of Monday Masters. And if I just open this up, you'll see it is still nice and flexible, nice and bouncy, hasn't moved. There is a little bit of transparency to the black in the boba gel, and we do want that because we still want this boba gel to cure fully. Now, while this is still flat, I'm going to separate this piece of boba gel into 3 sections. So we're going to cut about 3/4 of the way down and do a little slice and just roll that away. And then I'm going to take about 1/4 of that as well, slice that, and roll it away. So I'm just going to roll them up, and I'm going to set them on a palette off to the side. I'm going to take my other piece of plastic, and I'm just going to start picking it up and rolling it around and balling it up until I have a nice sphere to work with. So now I'm just going to pick this up, and make sure you have gloves on because you do not want to touch uncured gel with your ungloved hand. We don't want any contact dermatitis. And I'm going to place this right in the center of my red nail and just push slightly. And I'm going to put a little bit of alcohol on my silicone tool just so that it doesn't stick to my boba gel. And we're just going to press very lightly, push it into place. So a little bit more alcohol on my tool. We're just going to start pushing in here and creating those temple areas, and you'll see it kind of form the eye socket as well as we do this. Now I'm going to switch to a dotting tool, and again just putting a little bit of alcohol on it so it's not too sticky, and I am going to start pressing in and creating that eye socket shape and kind of pushing up so that it meets that temple area and creates our kind of occipital bone here. All right, starting to look a little spookier here. I am going to switch to an even smaller dotting tool. This is a micro dotter. I'm even going to use the teeny tiny side. And then I'm going to work to kind of carve in those little nostril areas as well. This is going to help to pull some of the boba gel downwards and start to create more of that kind of skull shape. So I'm going to press straight in. And just encourage the boba gel downwards. Now once we get there, I'm also going to take this micro dotter and kind of pinch in these temple areas to create a little bit more definition around the cheek and give us more of that head shape. I'm also going to press in down here around the nostrils, and this is going to really help to make the cheekbones pop. And it's going to start to kind of form where we're going to go into the jaw area as well. You can see with those highlights, we're really starting to get that skull definition look. And I'm going to go ahead and cure this now. So I've got my temples, my eyes, and my nostrils in. We're going to do a cure, and then we're going to go in and we're going to create our jaw shape as well. So now taking that one bead that I made that's slightly larger, I'm going to take my two pieces of plastic and I'm going to roll it out into kind of a tube shape. And I'm going to focus as well on making the center a little bit thicker and the edges a little bit thinner. I'm going to pick that up with my silicone tool. And we're going to place it just underneath our skull here. And we're going to curl these sides up into the skull so that it hits just underneath. And we're going to connect it and push it up so it connects to the cheekbones, and then start to push it into place. So we're starting to get that real skull shape now. I'm going to take the corner of my dotting tool, and again, just get a little alcohol on there, and just start to push it downwards, because I'm going to need somewhere to put all my little teeth. So I have opened up the mouth kind of on the inside. You can see where you can see the red right there. This is where I'm going to be placing the teeth. But I just wanted to get my jaw down and have it nicely tapered into those cheekbones underneath the eyes. And we're going to go ahead and cure this. So now this last little piece of boba gel, I even took less than I cut away just because I realized I had a little too much. Again, we're going to take it and we're going to roll it into a little bit more of a tube shape here so that we can place this inside that mouth and then cut into it and create our teeth. So now that we're fully cured, I'm going straight in here and I'm placing this little bar down. I'm just going to push it from the sides until it very comfortably fits in there. Now with the flat edge of my silicone tool, I'm just going to kind of press that right in half, and then I'm going to come vertically and just create some teeth marks. Nice and easy. I'm going to go ahead and give this a full cure now. So this is where we have landed so far. We've got a lot of really cool texture, but it can be a little bit hard to see when it's all black. So we're going to do a little bit of coloration over top of this. I'm going to take E129 Linen Off-White. This is a really beautiful kind of bone color. I'm going to place a little bit on a palette just here and just pick up a small amount on a makeup sponge. Now I'm going to take this and lightly dab over top of all of that texture I just created and blend it, blend it, blend it, blend it, blend it. And the cool thing about doing it this way is that it'll only catch the high points of your 3D texture you've created, and it's going to leave all of those low points, so like the eye sockets and the nostrils and the temples, so you end up with a really cool effect. Going in with my needle liner brush, I'm just highlighting anywhere where I feel like needs maybe a little more definition. You can even take your sponge and just lightly dab to soften your lines a little as well. For me here, I feel like my teeth need a little extra definition, so I'm going in with blackest black in between those teeth just to make sure that you can really tell that they're teeth. I'm going to throw a little bit more bone white to the highlights, so the forehead, the cheekbones, the chin. Using the point of my sponge, I'm going to add a little bit of extra bone white into the temples. I'm just feeling like they're a touch too dark. So once you're happy with your coloration, we're going to go ahead and give this a full cure. And then we're going to seal everything with our ultra glossy top coat. Now you do want to make sure, especially if you have a newer bottle like I do, that you want to really wipe off that bottle brush. You do not want a lot of top coat on there because we don't want to ruin all that texture we've created. So top coating around my area first. If you're doing this on a client, you can apply Boba Gel over top of cured top coat. So if you do your ultra glossy over top of your red first, and then apply your skull, it might be a little bit easier. But if you did it the same way I did, you may want to use a liner brush around the perimeter. But then I'm going to go in right over top of my scully here, and I'm going to really press in my brush. There's not much top coat on my brush here. I just want to make sure I'm getting all those crevices by really wiggling in with my top coat brush to get in all those crevices, seal everything in so now we're not left with any tacky or non-glossy surfaces, but we're also not compromising that texture that we've worked so hard to create. We want to keep it nice and crispy and kind of spooky and creepy. And then we'll go in for a cure. So there's our little Scully. He's kind of creepy. If I saw him at Marshall's or TJ Maxx, I would totally pick him up. I think he's adorable. Pretty cute. This is what he looks like glossy, but the other option would be to go mattified. So it looks kind of more bony, a little more spooky. I actually think I prefer this way. What do you guys think? Sisters, not twins, but I'm not too disappointed. I think it's really, really cute. Boba gel is so much fun to play with, especially with the tinting. I mean, we used black, but you could use any different color of ink to custom tint your Boba gel. You could mix multiple different ink colors together to create your own custom color. You could even rub chrome powder into it. There's so many options. If you guys have any questions whatsoever about any of these techniques or the Boba gel in particular, we have our cute little comment section right down below. You can drop your questions in there. We'll do our very best to get back to you as quickly as possible. Thank you so much for tuning in. I always appreciate it. Stay busy, stay inspired, have a very happy Halloween, and we will see you right back here in 7 days for another episode of Monday Masters. Take care.